So that's a very good thing. I will tell you we have our work cut out for us in the lead up to the lame duck session of Congress. As you know, Congress recessed for politicking, basically. They have their hands full in fighting for re-election. We have quite a good delegation representing you all in DC. Specifically to this area, Joe Courtney has been a rock-solid champion, someone who fought, tooth and nail to get the tax credit put into place. He's fighting right now on a rural definition, all things that I will address. So the most important thing I want to say today is thank you. Thank you for being strong advocates for not just your market, but all markets across this country. Each time that you give $1 to RPAC, each time that you answer a call for action, you open up another door in Washington, D.C. That protects our industry, it protects your market, and frankly, protects the future of homeownership. There's a bunch of victories that we had just this year alone, and I want to just quickly address those, and that's in no small part to the work of the Connecticut Realtors. One, we finally achieved a 5-year reauthorization of the National Flood Insurance Program. As you know, the uncertainty over that program, the stopgap measures, caused a lot of harm. We lost a lot of closings throughout much of the starts and stops of the program. Second is we saw the VA loan limits reinstated. That, as you know, is not only critical for veterans, but stabilizes a lot of the communities, especially in Connecticut or Virginia, where there's a heavy military presence. Home warranty bill has passed the House that basically clarifies RESPA and some misinformed HUD guidance that said home warranties fell under RESPA, making it harder for you to sell or to advise clients about home warranties. We have seen the House pass the FHA reform bill, which strengthens the FHA program, a critical tool of affordability in the market. We have seen FHFA, the Federal Housing Finance Agency, issue streamlined guidance for short sales, trying to speed up the process, get more people into these distressed properties, and get these properties moving. Lastly, and something that I know we've talked about quite a bit with the Connecticut Realtors when you come to town is condo rules. FHA has issued some new guidance on condos. To be frank, it's not 100% perfect, and we're going to continue hammering them on that. But they did loosen some of the restrictions about commercial use in these FHA condo properties, address some of the delinquent homeownership dues, but we still have a long way to go, like I said, especially when it comes to owner occupancy. Other barriers that we see are really holding us back. Next, I just want to touch on what happens in lame duck. There is a couple priorities that we have on the docket. When Congress returns after the election, and as you can imagine, a lot is going to be determined on November 6th, starting at the White House and going straight down to the power in Congress. That will determine the path forward on things that are critical, such as mortgage cancellation, debt relief. We at this time have 2 pieces of legislation in the House, one by a Democrat, one by a Republican, typical DC, they can't sign up the same bill, but they're all working together behind the scenes to get an extension to this. Mortgage cancellation debt relief, as I'm sure you're aware, is when someone goes into foreclosure or a short sale. The forgiven amount prior to 2007 was considered taxable income. We have been educating members of Congress about how this is money that they've never had. This is someone who went through a distressed sale, and you're essentially having Uncle Sam kick them while they're down. You cannot hand someone a tax bill, and it's not just a realtor issue, it's a consumer issue. This is about stabilizing our communities. It's about protecting homeownership. Most members of Congress get that. We have some pretty broad bipartisan support on the issue. We are hopeful that when Congress returns, they're going to take up a tax extender package and roll this piece into the overall package. That'll include other things such as the research and development tax credit, other big pieces. That has support from both House and Senate members, chairman and ranking member, and it goes straight up to the White House. President Obama included it in his budget for this year, and I'm sure he'll continue to express support for that. As we move past extenders, we have to face the reality that tax reform is going to happen in some fashion. We have a massive bullseye on our back. as you all know. We've been talking about this for a long time. Mortgage interest deduction is under attack. We have a lot of work to do to educate members of Congress on both sides of the aisle, both in the House and Senate, about the importance of MID and protecting it in its current form. The ramifications of what would happen if MID was scaled back in any way, or frankly taken off the table, off the books completely, would be devastating. You know that more than anyone. You know that it's one of the most critical tools of affordability that we have. And frankly, we're faced with a lot of scenarios. You know, we have $1 million cap right now. Folks are allowed to deduct the interest on their home equity, allowed second homes. A lot of that is coming down to dollars and cents. Now, I will tell you this to make you feel better. We're not alone. Charitable deductions is on the table. MID, state and local property tax, another big issue for folks here in this room that we need to educate members on. So here's what you can do. You can continue to talk to your delegation, your senators, and explain to them what MID means within your community. That means talking to Dick Blumenthal, talking to whoever emerges from the Senate race. Make sure that they know that second homes in Connecticut are not mansions on a beach. They are small shacks in Western Connecticut. They're average Americans' homes. I will tell you this, one of the more interesting stats as we're going around the Hill educating folks is that the average income of an American family who purchased a second home last year was only $99,000. I can tell you that that person did not buy a mansion on a beach. So we do have a lot of educating to do on the Hill. There's a lot of freshman members of Congress who are seeking re-election, and we have been fortunate to gain the support of nearly 200, we're at 199 right now, members in the House who've supported HRES 25, which protects MID as it stands. We believe our support goes far beyond that. There's a lot of members who don't sign on to resolutions just because they don't want to box themselves in, and we understand that. We know who our friends are. I will tell you, in this room, like I mentioned before, Joe Courtney, we have no more solid champion than Joe. You know, that leads me to my next pitch, and that is Chris Murphy for Senate. NAR and the Connecticut Association of Realtors have endorsed Chris Murphy for Senate. That means when we're looking at, and I know that you guys are being inundated with negative ads and a lot of nasty campaign tactics, and frankly, it's on both sides. When we look at who's going to stand with the realtors, who's going to stand behind us when we're fighting for the survival of the markets, protecting MID, keeping banks out of real estate, there's really only one choice for us, and that's Chris Murphy. I am happy to talk to you guys one-on-one about his record, but we have met with both candidates. Both have their heart in the right place. They both want to protect Connecticut and serve. But Chris has been a great friend to us, to our industry, and all I can ask is that you give him your fullest consideration and know that NAR has put him on our Opportunity Race program, which means that we will be doing targeted mailings to members throughout Connecticut on his behalf, explaining why we support him and why he deserves election to the United States Senate. Next, I just want to again close by saying to Kathy and the entire leadership team, it's a great honor for me to be here. It's good to see members. You know, you guys are why I'm walking through the halls of Congress, making your case every single day. And all I can ask is that, you know, when we talk about RPAC, every dollar does matter. When we talk about calls for action, it does matter. And you should be receiving, some of you may have already received it, you should be receiving over the next couple of days, a new call for action, which is critical to this area of Connecticut. And that's on rural housing, the definition of rural housing. As you may know, over 900 communities across the country, many in this part of the nation, will no longer be eligible for rural housing funds. Essentially, the definition that USDA is being forced to go back to has never been updated since 1974, meaning that communities such as yours lose eligibility. We have worked both the House and Senate side, and we feel that we are close when the Farm Bill passes, that we will have some type of deal in place that will protect your communities, whether it's grandfathering clause or updating the definition. But this all is a result of the 2010 U.S. Census. So my only ask is that when you get back to your offices, sit in front of your computer, please respond to that call for action. It deeply impacts your market here and many other across the country.